what the fuck did I just do?
Whatever moments you can get to yourself, guilt-free. Do not feel bad about that. You need those moments.
Messy women raise messy children. Flat out. I'm Mauri Goins.
And I'm Dina Blair.
We're single moms
living life for the first time, just like our kids.
Real talk from the carpool to the crib.
A podcast about single motherhood,
Black womanhood,
and everything in between.
And maybe we can make your way in the pickup line a little more bearable. Welcome to the pickup line, where we're doing carpool confessions, D. We are talking about the real shit, like the real stuff. No judgment here. Everybody's just going to get real, talk about things we've done, things that we're not proud of doing, maybe a little lies we told.
The little white lies that we moms may say just to kind of get through the day or get through bedtime so we can have some time to ourselves.
Do we repent after we lie? Do we repent? I don't know. So what's something that you've told your kids that you knew was just totally a bold-faced lie that we call a myth?
Well, I really don't. I try not to lie to my children. But I will tell them, that this is something we can't talk about or whatever. But when they were growing up, when they were little, I'm big on nutrition. I want them to eat their vegetables.
I know they ate fried chicken at my house for the first time.
Right. They'd never had it before. So I made fish. I think it was like a white fish. I can't remember the white fish. And then I made like pasta with like chopped up peppers in it. And I called it, rainbow fish with like angel hair, like angel pasta, something to make it sound like they would be like, oh, I want to eat that. And it didn't work. I tried that. And then to get them to go to bed, I would say stuff like, you're going to dream about rainbows and lollipops. And I would say stuff like that.
Girl,
so I didn't really lie to my
working
kids.
With my kids. They like rainbows and lollipops. And what's that got to do with
Bubbles.
It? Yeah, I would have to tell D, I'm like, D, eat your spinach and you might be like Popeye. Like, you're going to be strong.
Yeah.
You don't like be killing them on the football field. Like, you got this. And he's like, yeah, okay.
But that's not really a lie.
I'm good. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think that I used to tell my kids 8 o'clock was bedtime. Mm-hmm. People used to say to me, girl, your house is completely silent at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock was bedtime by any means necessary. Everybody in that house, including the dog, was going to be asleep at 8 o'clock, because not that I had anything to do, not that I had anything that I wanted to do. I just needed the peace. So I was like, oh my God, if you go to bed, tomorrow's going to be like the best day ever. And your teacher's going to be so nice to you. I don't even know what I said. Mm-hmm. To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't know what I said. I knew it was lavender body wash, rubbing that lotion on, because I was very big on lotion. And making sure they were like in La La Land, where they were just like sleeping with just the best dreams ever. But I was like, I don't care. You'll get candy tomorrow. We'll go here for dinner. We'll get Boston Market macaroni and cheese. Just go to bed.
Well, we would say that they're going to grow big and strong, like big and tall, if they would go to sleep. That was definitely one. But my favorite was daylight savings time. Because when
we lose or gain?
When you spring ahead, you could still put them to bed at the same time.
Oh. It'd be daytime.
So I would take advantage.
I
would take advantage of that time. And one of the guys I worked with would be like, "You're putting your girls to bed and it's still daytime. How are they going to sleep?" I'm like, "We will work it out. We're going to like take a nice bath and do all the things." Mm-hmm. But that was all about like being able to have time for myself as a mom, like just to be able to decompress once they go to sleep.
My house was shut down. Like, mm-hmm. Literally, people would laugh. Shut down. I did not play that. I didn't play that. And I didn't play with just anybody watching my kids. But I was very big on, I need y'all to get some rest. I don't know why. Like, I don't think when I was young, I had a bedtime. Like, honestly, I don't think my mother told me when to go to bed. I think I went to bed whenever my sisters went to bed or whenever somebody else in the house went to bed. But for me, when Dee was little, it was come in the house, that copper top table. We're going to have an episode at that copper top table. He would sit at that table. He would do his homework. I didn't cook much with Dee, so I can't even lie. He would have his food and he would go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the time, it was me. Or when Mariah was born, it was me and Mariah. Now, when Gracie came to the fold, everybody in this house was an athlete. Mariah was playing volleyball. Gracie was little. I remember Mariah was in practice. Gracie was throwing the ball around the ice skating ring. And Dee was off to college. I didn't have a set bedtime then. I was just telling them lies to get a moment. Like, I don't even know what I was saying. I was like, we can get this for dinner. We can have Chick-fil-A. We can have this. Mariah, you can have a French fry. Just so I could get them to do whatever I needed them to do.
That's bribery. But I would do the same thing when I was,
but it was a lie.
Potty training. I was trying to get my oldest to be potty trained, and I would try and bribe her with like, and you know this is big if I said this, like a piece of candy. I was like, if you just use the potty, every time you use the potty, you're going to get a piece of candy. And she was like, no, want candy.
Oh,
she's so, to this day, like very, like knows what she wants and how she wants it.
That was Mariah
so
Fire.
Very,
that was Mariah Fire. Her whole time at school, I would have Mariah dressed to the nines. She would be coming up in school like she owned the place. I mean, it was just crazy. The teachers would say, can you stop dressing your kids so nicely? Because they're like afraid to play. I'm like, what? They're like afraid to play. And then I would have to tell them, you can't wear this outfit today because of whatever reason. But my kids were fixated on whatever their thing was. Whatever Mariah's thing was, at the time, it was braids and the side ponytail. Like, she had that side ponytail for so long with a Lulu headband. I was like, girl, are we getting out of this era, right? So I probably had to tell her a tiny little lie to get her to do some box braids again. Now we can't keep the girl out of braids, right? Gracie, nothing works for her. I could tell her, if you get braids, this is going to change this. If you get this is going to change that. Gracie's like, yeah, it ain't changing nothing. You lying. Like, she can see. She can see straight through all my.
Yeah. Have you ever had a moment? Because I know you spend more time with like the moms than I really ever did.
Yeah.
I was just like, drop them off, pick them up, go on to the next thing. So have you ever had like a carpool confession moment, like with one of the moms where, maybe you were invited to something and you had to like make up an excuse like not to go?
All the time. All the time. I had my crew. I had my only crew. I knew who my girls were. I knew who my friends were. I knew that, just being real, I had that saying, no new friends. No new friends. I didn't need no new friends. Like, at some point you get to a certain age where it's like, really? You ain't gonna do nothing but come and talk about me. You're not gonna do nothing but come and judge me. You're not gonna do nothing but bring up some shit that I did 20 years ago. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, right? My friends that are my friends, they don't really care. They don't really care what I did 16 years ago. They don't really care who I slept with. They don't really care who I have kids with. They don't care. So there were a few that would come by and they're like, oh, we're having this, and this. Do you want to come? I'm like, oh, dang. Gracie has practice.
Yeah.
And Gracie got to the point where she was like, quit blaming me. Stop telling everybody it's me. Or Mariah has to do this. Or I've got to go to that. And I probably did lie. I probably didn't want to go. And they're probably going to talk about me right now. And it's okay. I'm okay with that.
I found myself, because I work full time, I found myself making friends with the moms that my daughter was friends with. And that's like the friendships that, if I talk about like school age, like school friendships, mom friendships, it's people that my daughters were friends with their daughters. And then I ended up, having a relationship with the moms. That's kind of how that worked.
We've tried that a couple times. I'm still really good friends with one of Dee's best friend's moms. We still talk. We don't talk as much as we did before when the boys were playing AAU. We didn't talk as much then. I had a really good friend that worked with me in my first couple jobs that would help me with Dee all the time. And he still loves her to this day after his 1-year-old Barney birthday party. She's been my friend forever. Then when Mariah got older, I kind of gelled with a couple of her friends. And then I think that Mariah was friends with her daughter. I was friends with her. And as Mariah got into college, we outgrew them, right? We outgrew them because what happened is Mariah was growing into her own woman and becoming better. This girl, and I'm a flat out say it, was a hater. And at the time, we needed to extinguish the friendship, right? Because it kind of Mariah had a birthday party. It got out of line. And it was kind of like, you're not going to step to my daughter. And Mariah was kind of like, you're not going to step to my mama. And we were like, we could lie about us not being friends, but we just ain't going to be friends. Like, right. We just ain't going to be friends. At this point, this friendship is over. Right. And I think that you have friendships that last for a season or a reason. Right. Everybody ain't meant to be friends. Like, you might have a friend at that particular time in your life that was conducive to you and your kids doing whatever you needed to do. I've got a whole gang of volleyball moms that I still love, and our kids have graduated, gone on to college. We still talk and we're still friends. I don't need to lie to make an excuse to not see them. If something's going on, I just tell them the truth.
Right.
But when we can see each other, we do. But it's those, I am going to say, messy women raise messy children. Flat out. Like, right? I mean, and some of them probably think I'm messy, and that's okay. I don't care. Like, they can think what they want to think, but those are probably the moms that I would probably lie and say I have something else to do. I can't be there. And it's not really a lie. I do have something else to do, even if that's to go home and watch Scandal and drink red wine and eat popcorn.
Yay. Have you ever been friends with a mom just because, like, you guys didn't really click, but you made an effort to be friends with that mom because one of the kids were friends with their son or daughter?
No. I'm not doing that because I wear my heart on my sleeve. Can you tell by my face right now? No. Yeah. I don't have time for that. Like, I don't have time for that. And the way my life worked and the way my life is, I don't have time for the judgment. I don't have time to care what you think. I don't have time to care about what you thought about me in 1982. Like, I don't really have time. I don't care that you want to know how my hair is
1982.
or what shoe I'm wearing or what bag I'm carrying. I really don't have time, because some of the time I'm running out the house looking crazy as hell. Like, I'm going to be looking crazy as hell because I got to do what I got to do and get where I'm getting. I don't need to be. When I was young, I probably felt the need to be friends with, no. Not now. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Even when Dee went to high school, I can count on one hand the friends that I had at Marist. I didn't.
I'm curious about, like, building those relationships when you get to stay at home. And I say get to because I think that's awesome to be able to stay home and raise your kids. I think that's amazing. So I'm just always curious about those relationships and, like, which ones you allow in your life, which ones you kind of like push aside. Or
I think that's like baking a cake when you sift the flour. And you helped me with this a lot when you and I became friends. You sift out the good and the bad. You sift out the judgmentals. I've had friends where we broke up and we've come back together again, right? I've had friends that were my friends just because of what their dad did. I have friends that, are like, I knew her from 5th grade and, she's a gold digger or she's a this or she's a that. Well, that ain't my friend, right? You're not really my friend, because if you knew me, you would know that ain't true. If you knew me, you'd see what I go through every day. I picked friends based on people who picked me. People who I could get along with. People, like, just when me and you ended up being friends over our other friend. People that had my same values and beliefs. And those are still my friends to this day, right? I still have my same friends from Indiana. I can still call people from back in the day. And I just, even when I got my hair braided, I called my friend from back in the day and was like, hey girl, who's braiding your hair? Because I want him to braid mine. Completely trust her judgment. The girl came into my house and braided my hair.
Sometimes I hide in the bathroom just to get 10 minutes alone.
Ooh, that's real. Oh my gosh, that's so real. Yes, absolutely. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all the minutes, wherever you got to go. They will still find you, but whatever moments you can get to yourself, guilt-free, do not feel bad about that. You need those moments, right?
At all. I had a mom just tell me a couple days ago, I leave my kids, I hate to say, I leave my kids at the babysitter extra hour just so I can clean up and get some peace. I studied in the bathroom on the floor while Dee slept when I was getting my master's.
Yes.
Yes, the bathroom is real. The
Yep.
bathroom is real.
Yep.
Just sit there a little longer.
As long as you can until they find you, because they will.
And who cares what they think you're doing? Who cares? Just get it
They're
done.
not worried about what you're doing.
Yes. It's peace.
Yep.
The bathroom is a peaceful spot.
Yep.
Why does no one talk about how much mom hangovers hit? And if you've ever had one, what do you do? It's the worst thing ever.
A mom hangover is just like, I can't even describe it. Like, it's undescribable. Because it's like, words cannot describe the next morning driving. It's like, are my contacts on? Can I see? Do I need to go to the eye doctor? Am I sick? You have to tell the kids, oh, I ate something.
Was it worth it?
Oh, what happened? What happened? What did I do yesterday? What? Like, I can't even put into words. And I know there's some moms out there, real talk, right now, that went through that last night. And it's like, I want to have fun. I want to get my drink on. The next day hits hard.
Well, I think it starts off as like, I'm going to meet my friends, or my friends are coming out. We're just going to have a glass. And it starts off that way. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it doesn't end up that way. And then you're like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine in the morning. But
I've had hangovers walking up the hill in my neighborhood from my neighbors. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, let's get together, catch up. And then I see myself trying to figure out how I put the code into the garage door. I'm not even driving a vehicle. Mm-hmm. I might be at some of my neighbor's house and I'm like, oh, I just got Scotty. Like, what just happened here? What just happened here? It's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst. And it doesn't come down till after pickup.
Like, after a nap.
Yeah, no, you got to go get a nap. And then by 3:00 when it's pickup, you're like, whew, I'm just feeling a little better, right? We call that vitamin G, grease.
Yeah, well, it's not even an option when you have to get up and go to work the next day, take your kids to school and go to work and then all the things.
Yeah, vitamin G is real. It's called a French fry, a wing, a White Castle, a something.
Not White Castle.
Yeah, a White Castle. Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes I judge the other moms for the snacks that they pack their kids.
No.
Well, yeah, I can relate to judging the snacks. Still to this day, judging the snacks. Man, but you gotta let it go. Like, just focus on your children and what works for your kids and just try to be an example. That's like the best I can say, because I get a little judgy on the snacks. My kids know all about the red and the dyes and the 40s and the blue lakes and all the things. So because I'm a wellness specialist, I'm always looking at ingredients. And to this day, my youngest daughter, if she wants candy, she asks me to take her to a particular grocery store that only sells candy that is colored with like vegetables and fruit, not the dyes. So I try not to be judgy with other parents because they just don't know, and they're just trying to let their kids be kids. And I get that. So it's important to have that little balance there. So focus on what you know is best for your kids and just try to be an example without being a martyr.
Okay. It couldn't be my turn.
Well, and then when it's your friends who serve your children fried chicken.
Me.
From seed oil.
Yeah, I'm not judging the fruit. I can remember when my kids loved Pirate's Booty, and I was like, that's some dry, like, ugh. Anyway, it's okay. I'm not judging the food that the parents give their kids. I'm not. Because, listen, it was anything that I could do to get a snack in that bag. Like, right? It was just like, yeah, you got a snack? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, mine probably had red dye, and they probably had Pringles, and they probably had Cheez-Its.
But you don't know. Like, as a parent, I think for me, because I'm in the industry, like, there are things that I know and I research, and that's my job. My job is to do the research and find that information out.
I still can't remember. You told me it was either Mott's or Welch's gummies that were the best, and I was just like, okay. Like, sometimes I get to the store and I'm like, I don't have time to read all this. I'm trying to get in and out, right? So yeah, I'm not judging the snacks. Not at all. I'm not.
I don't judge the snacks either. I just think that I have the responsibility to lead by example.
And you should. It's your job.
Yes.
It's your job. My job is to make sure they got a snack. Like, I'm trying to make sure they got a snack. Like, right. And I'm cool with that. Listen, it's great. I don't give a damn what you get for your kid. As long as, I don't care. I mean, that ain't got, her lunchbox ain't got nothing to do with me.
Well, I remember in preschool, the preschool teachers made a comment because my kids would have so much food. Like, I had like all the snacks and all the options, and I just want to make sure that they had like what they needed or maybe wanted. But I tried so hard to make sure that it was like healthy.
But your kids are great because they make real meals from scratch, like whole ass meals from scratch. My kids are like, yeah, I just went and got a bottle of Alfredo sauce. Yours are like, oh, let me get the cream. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not that mom. Yours are like, I got the cream, mommy, I want the real ingredients. I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
We have an ingredients household, which is sometimes
which is great.
But my kids don't always like that. They do complain about us being an ingredients household, not like a grab it, stick it in the microwave.
And when they're feeling that away, send them to Auntie Nick. Send them to Auntie Nick. I got it. Right. I got it.
Is it normal to regret having kids? I love my kids, but the thought crosses my mind sometimes, and I feel ashamed about it.
Absolutely, it's normal. It is normal because real talk, when you have kids, your life is never the same, which is your life should not be the same. When you have kids, your life's not about you. So is it normal to say, excuse my French, what the fuck did I just do? Like, right? What the fuck just happened? Because when you're pregnant and you're going up to the pregnancy and it's like, I'm going to pack my bag. I'm going in the hospital. I've got my cute backpack when I leave. Reality hits your ass when you're in the hospital at 3:00 in the morning and that baby don't stop crying. Maybe you can give the baby to the nurse then, but when you get home, you can't. Then when it's, hey, I really want to go on this trip with my girls and I really want to celebrate this. And it's like, I don't have a babysitter, or I can't afford it, or somebody has a game. All those things come into play with, damn, I got a whole ass family. Like, right? I got a whole family.
I think it's normal to grieve your life prior to having children. And the thing about having children is it's a lesson in delayed satisfaction.
100%.
Because you're spending this time and you're giving your energy and you're, teaching someone about life and you're still learning about life yourself. But you mentioned this before, is like you see the fruit of your labor, but it's delayed. It's not right away. And sometimes it is. Like sometimes it's, a week later, you see that you gave your child some sort of advice or, how to handle a situation or whatever, and you see them implement it right away. But a lot of times it's down the road after they've graduated from middle school, high school, college, but those different little stops along the way, you see where that's, I don't even want to say sacrifice, but kind of that you've made.
Parenting is 110% a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's you are giving your whole self. It's like it's not a dog. It's not a cat. It's not a pet. It's a human being. You're raising a whole ass human being. A person that is going to go into society and either be at a huge contribution to society, a good person, somebody that's giving, loving, kind, or you can be the best mother in the world and raise somebody that is the exact opposite. So there are times when every parent says, damn, what did I do? What's happening right now? Right? It's not that you don't love your child, because you do love your child. Like you love your child wholeheartedly. You love having a family. You love the situation. It's just some days you wake up and it's like, does somebody love me?
Wow, yeah.
Is anybody checking on me? Is anybody worried about me?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you don't love your kids. that means that's one day you're tired as hell and you just regretted it. But that doesn't mean you regret the lifetime of being a parent. That doesn't mean you regret the joy that they bring you. That means that you're a human being and you might want some of that love reciprocated.
That's when you have to learn how to fill your own cup. There's a woman I know, she would once a month, she would go and get a hotel room for the weekend, away from her husband, away from her kids. And that was her way of refilling her cup. And I think as women, we have to find those little opportunities. And maybe financially, it's not a weekend away. Like that's not something people can necessarily afford or whatever. But maybe it's the 15 minutes in the bathroom.
Right.
Maybe it's, you know, maybe you go and you get like one of the little masks from one of the stores and put them on and treat yourself, and or maybe take a mental health day away from work and you spend time at home. I've definitely done that. You know, it's so really important that you find ways to do that. Back
when it was just me and Dee, and I had Dee, and I had a job, and I would call my friend and I would be like, hey, anyway, you could pick up Dee, because, you know, at the time I was going to get my master's at night. And at that point, it was my balcony. Mm-hmm. It was Dee's down. He's gone to sleep. And, you know, maybe my sister would come over or my friend would come over, and it was my balcony. Because I didn't start drinking alcohol till I was like 21 years old. And now I've drunk enough for all those years. But anyway, I didn't. And it was because how I was raised, you know. But when I started, it was my balcony. That was my place to go. It was just like I put flowers out there and make it cute. You know, you would have swore I was at a luxury hotel resort. It was just me and my little balcony, right?
That's great
But
advice.
that was my sanctuary.
That's great advice.
That was my sanctuary. That was my thing. And I think that for people in general, not just women or men, we all need an altar, and we all need a sanctuary. We all need a place to pray, and we all need a place to go. That's just real talk.
Mm-hmm. I love my kids, but why do I constantly feel overstimulated, especially with younger kids constantly needing closeness?
Whew. Okay. I need to like sit on this one for a second, because I have two different types of children. I have one child that's very touchy, and one child who's only wants me to hug her when she wants to be hugged. So, man, I think it's okay to set boundaries with your children, like to let them know that you love them, but set those boundaries. So my daughters are older now, but when they were younger, I gave them lots of like hugs and kisses and held their hand. But I think as kids get older, they have to figure out a way to fill that on their own. You know, be it spending time with themselves, reading a book, journaling, creating friendships that are solid friendships, but still being like the parent, the mom, still being the soft place to land. You know, I think that's important. And I don't think there's anything to feel bad about. Like if your child is very touchy and wants that like physical touch, to give that to them, like hold their hand or give them a quick hug and be like, okay, now I need to go and, you know, whatever, go finish dinner or go reply to an email, but you're important to me. Like I think hugging, giving them that physical touch and then saying the words like you do, you're very important to me. I need to go do this really fast. But just, I think it's so important that the kids get their love language in the way that it feeds them and not in the way that it feeds us. You know, I think as parents, we try to like put our own stuff on our kids. So it's like my love language may be, you know, words of affirmation, which it's not, but maybe it is. But, you know, we try and give our kids what it is that we want to give them because that will fill us. But if we know that physical touch fills our kid, like we need to give them that, but also set that boundary and then maybe give them another way, a healthy way to get that fulfilled.
Because you know you're not going to always be there, and you may not be able to give them that.
I'm not always going to be there. So as they get older, like what is that? How do we fill that love cup for you in a way when mom isn't there? What does that look like? And we can explore that together by me saying, hey, you really like, you know, talking to this person or journaling or, you know, whatever it is, depending on the age of the child.
Yeah, because the child's going to go away to college and to go away somewhere else. And you want to make sure they're mentally stable when they go away. You want to make sure they don't get their love language fulfilled in a negative way with a negative person. And I think you said that beautifully. I mean, wow, I really don't know what to reiterate on that other than it's important for kids to figure out what their love language is early.
Yeah.
And I think that happens to women a lot because they look for love in all the wrong places, right? They look for love outside of what they had with their father. They look for love outside of, Mom, but you didn't hug me when I was little. They look for love and they look for reassurance in different places because of that. I think you said that beautifully. I think that you need to teach your children, or your children need to discover their love language when they're young, preferably before they leave home and they decide to get love that's the exact opposite of what their dad gave them, right? Or they get love in a really bad place. I think that was really good advice.
And also, how about knowing that you're already loved?
Right.
And the reason I can speak on it is because I still make that mistake. I still make the mistake of like trying to love my children in a way that doesn't land for them. So I need to recognize their individuality and love them in a way that this one recognizes love this way and this one recognizes love this way. And one is definitely easier than the other. Like I can pinpoint it easier. But I still make the mistakes. And I think as a mom, you have to know, like, you're going to make mistakes, but what you don't do is you don't beat yourself up about it. You don't have regrets about it.
Right.
But you're honest with yourself and say, you know what? This probably would have been a better way to approach it. And as your children get older, I mean, I'm not a child psychologist, but I do think that you can approach your child and say, and I've definitely done this. You know what? I didn't handle that the right way. I apologize for that.
Oh, I did that to Gracie the other day. I walked in the house and said, I'm sorry for yelling at you, but I mean, I had a long day and this, like, I'm sorry. Like, I just was like, flat out, I'm sorry. But I also feel like, like you said, each child is different and each child is to be handled differently. Right. I have one child that could talk my head off. Like I have another child that I could drive her to school every day. She'd never say 2 words to me. And I'm like, hell, is this ride over? Like, oh my God. Hello. Are you there? And that's where the pickup line came in, because once I dropped her off and left her, I was like, y'all, she didn't talk to me all the way to school. Like, am I just sitting here? So I think that you said that so well. And I think that, when my kids were younger, I could have did a better job of deciphering that, because when I grew up, I'm not sure anybody in the household cared what my love language was. And that's not a diss to anybody that I grew up with. That's just real talk. I didn't discover a love language until I got grown, right? Until I started studying. And, there was a book called The Power of a Praying Parent. Girl, I was reading that book cover to cover, trying to figure out, right? So where I fall short, I was waiting on God to help me, or looking at some advice, or reading a book, or trying to figure it out. And I think that, a lot of times I fell short on knowing what the right decision was when it came to that. Because and I'm not going to lie, I kind of internalized, you didn't talk to me. I took that about me, which is what you said. It wasn't about me. She was just going through her own issues. Right. But me and my bubbly self wake up every day, like thinking everybody's supposed to get up like, hey, and people don't. And so it took me learning and going through the process and saying, and talking to you and talking to my other friend that I spoke to in the morning, maybe they don't want to talk in the morning. That doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong. That just means that they're dealing with their own, whatever that is.
I think that moms need to know that's an evolution as a parent though, right? So what our parents did is different than what we're doing now because of what we experienced being raised by them, right? And so now we've made some adjustments. And then our children, so there's no regret. Our children will look at the way we raised them and they're going to take that. And then when they have children,
they'll make an adjustment.
They're going to make the right. And so it just goes on. And it's just the evolution, I think, of parenting.
I agree with that. And I think that a lot of my parenting too, along with my mother, but was my grandmother. it was my grandmother. I mean, that was the best. It was like, I call them soul food grandmothers. I mean, I think I talk about that in another episode, but there's nothing like that soul food grandma on the bosom. Like, baby, I'm gonna reach in my bra and get you some money. Like, right. That's like grandma. Like, you go in grandma's house and it's like a biscuit going, or it's like, it just smelled like grandma's house, right? I remember my grandmother's smell to this day. And her love language for me was affection. Her love language was just spirituality, affection, touching, hugging. Let me get a kiss. You good? You all right, sugar? Like, right? And my kids, their great grandmother, her language was, hey, baby, how are you? Give me some sugar. Every time she saw those children, she was like, come give Grammy some sugar. And they'll always remember that. Hers was affection. Now, she was stern, but very affectionate. So I think you said that really, really well. Great advice.
What do I do if my daughter just got to high school and I hate her friends?
I'm going to pray. I've been in that situation more than once. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you tell her, she runs to her. Because, you know, when kids are in high school, it's like, if you don't like the boyfriend, she likes him more. If you don't like the dress she's wearing, she's going to wear it. So it's kind of like the opposite effect. And I say that because if I say, hey, I just have a feeling about this girl and I know blah, 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 blah. She's going to be like, she's coming to dinner. We're going to the mall. I'm going to hang out with her. But what I try to do is pray for discernment, pray for protection, and watch. And after it's a couple things, it's like, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 tries. After the third one, it's a wrap. You might be her friend, but you won't be her friend in my house. Mm-hmm. She won't be driving her car that I'm paying for gas for to come see you. We won't be doing things that are going to be on my dime. Period. And I know that's bad. And I know it probably seems mean, but that's why people pick brides for their kids back in the day, because we didn't know what was best for us. Sometimes kids don't know what's best for them. So yeah, I'm going through that right now. Like, I'm going through that right now. And it's, yeah.
Well, I agree for sure as far as like taking a moment, discernment, pray about it. But I always ask questions. So I usually don't tell my daughters like straight up like what I'm thinking about someone. I'll ask questions so they kind of lead them to making their own conclusion about it. And then if we're not meeting in the same spot, like thinking the same thing about the person, then I will kind of watch. But there's not going to be any, oh, I'm going with so-and-so,
No.
Because I'm just going to, actually I had this happen with my oldest daughter. There was a party she wanted to go to. And I just wasn't that cool with like, I didn't really know much about the kids that were going to be at that party. And my girls are great. Like, it's not going to be drugs or drinking or anything like that. It's just more about like a lifestyle, like a morality sort of choice, for lack of a better way to explain it. Like, my girls are great academically, and I want them to be around people that have the same level of like drive, if that makes sense. So I think it's important that like, okay, we study, we make sure we have good grades, we focus on school first, and then all that other stuff is secondary. So I had to kind of think about like how I was going to talk to her about going to this party, but it actually worked out because we had other things going on. So I didn't have to cross that bridge. But I ask questions. I'll say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so? Does she usually this or that? And I've had that even in elementary school with my youngest when she was in elementary school, girls that she's playing like online games with and things that they share.
And I think, when you talk about a subject like this and when you talk about friends and partying or whatever, they're kids. Kids are going to do what kids are going to do. Kids are going to get into stuff. And I tell my kids all the time, if you're not up front with me and you don't level with me, I can't help you. Just tell me what it is. Tell me if there's alcohol there. Tell me if there's some shit going down. Tell me what it is, and then I can know how to handle it, right? I can remember the first time my son and his friend were upstairs and they had a beer. I broke down crying. You would have thought I was like, ain't nobody dying. I cried because I was like, oh my God, is that a beer? And he's like, is something wrong with you? Like, right? But when it comes to their friends and who they're with, sometimes I don't really I already know. I don't really have to ask the questions because by that time I done found about their mama, brothers, cousins, uncles, who they live, what they doing, I know all the facts. And I just sit back and say, you know what, go ahead, let it ride for a minute. And then she's gone. Because I will say this about children, and I'm going to say this about adults. You can only be fake for so long. You can only wear that mask for so long. Who you are is going to show, right? Who you are is coming out. And people can say that about me. I've always been a stern believer about if I said it, I said it. If I said it, I'll tell you I said it. You may not like that I said it. I may not like that I said it at the time. But if I said it, I said it. And I think that with kids, sometimes they have to learn that they're not their friends on their own. And that's like a breakup. A friendship is like a breakup. I've broken up with some of my friends before that have been like a breakup. So you got to kind of let them navigate that wheel of friendship on their own, because when they get to college and there's nobody to help them pick their friends, they can pick up on the warning signals. They can say, you know what, hold on, right? When you're in college and you're drinking and you're gone and you're doing stuff, you got to have a friendship and a crew that's got your back, right? So we need to learn that early. So when it's time for Gracie and Mariah and Dee, they've all had friends that I was kind of like, but they knew it because they can see it on my face. When the kid walks in the door, I can remember one time Dee had some friends that came over. I will never forget this little girl came in my house. I'm not going to say her name. She didn't speak to me. And I'm very big on when children come in my house, they say hello. Hi, Miss Mauri. You don't have to call me Miss Goins. Hey, Miss Mauri. Hey, Miss Mauri, come around the corner. This girl walks in, looks at me like she didn't even see me. I said, Dee, come here, honey. He's like, yeah. I said, don't bring her back. He's like, a what? I said, don't bring her back. Because she didn't have any manners. This is my house. I'm the adult. You speak to me. The least you can do is say hello.
So I stopped resenting my partner after becoming a mom. The mental load, unequal parenting, and emotional labor is making me quietly frustrated.
You have to have a conversation, because what your partner doesn't understand, if you've just had a baby, they really don't understand everything that you're experiencing that you can control, and that what is also out of your control, as far as like, you can't control when the baby wakes up in the middle of the night. You can't control when the baby is hungry and needs to be fed or changed or any of those things. You have to have a conversation. I don't know if the resentment ever goes away. I think having children can be a strain on a relationship if the two people have not had a real conversation about responsibilities, who's going to do what, and support, like unwavering support. So it just depends on the relationship. I don't know if you stop resenting. I hope you do, but I don't know.
I don't think resentment is the word for me. I think the word for me is forgiveness. How do I forgive them for how they made me feel at that particular point in time in my life? How do I forgive them for not helping me change a diaper or not being there when I need it? How do I forgive them for never one day being there to help me when the baby had colic or the baby needed a diaper change or I just was so worn out and I wanted to sleep? I think that every mother, married or not, has gone through this. Every mother, married or not, has this feeling. Every mother that her husband travels feels this. And some mothers have husbands that are laying in the beds next to them right now that don't get up and change the baby because maybe they're working and they feel like it's your job. I feel like women should know it is not their job to raise a baby alone. This society needs to come out of this. I'm a single parent and the mother gets the brunt of the work. Miss me with that one. That's over. That's over. When you have babies and you have children, there's a mother and a father. The child should be raised together. So therefore, there shouldn't be any resentment. You shouldn't have to forgive them. Everybody should be contributing to helping nurture this infant. Because infancy is the hardest time. It's the hardest time. I don't care who pays the bills. I don't care what happens. It's difficult. It's hard raising kids. So I don't think that it's resentment. I think it's, how do I learn how to humble myself to forgive this person for not helping me raise this human being?
The challenging part too is like you're looking to have a conversation about something that you haven't experienced. Like, if it's your first baby with your significant other, you're looking to have a conversation about how we're going to navigate an experience that we've never experienced. So being open to having conversations, being open and aware of your partner's needs to avoid the resentment.
And I think, when I say this in all sincerity on both parts, I think it's being present. Being present. Just be present. Just simply be grateful. Just simply understand both sides of the coin, because every coin has two sides. Every story has two sides. There's two sides of the story and the truth, right? I think that when you are raising kids, kids can make or break a marriage. Kids can make or break a relationship. Kids can make or break a friendship. You can have friends who don't like the way one friend parents and that friendship's over. And I think that when you have a partner and you decide to have kids with a person, even when you're married to that person, you may not really know that person because you don't know how that person's going to parent. That person may love the ground you walk on. But the minute that baby hits the sheets and the attention goes off that person changes. And you have to learn to forgive that person for changing, because that person is going to stay in your life forever. I don't care if you marry somebody and you don't have kids. If you marry somebody and you have a dog, you get divorced. Who cares who gets the dog? When you marry somebody and you have a kid, that kid is a part of you and that person forever. It never changes. That person you have a child with becomes your family for life. So to be honest with you, forgiveness is an option, because one day your kid's going to get married. One day your kid's going to have a baby. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Pickup Line.
And make sure you call us with your carpool confessions. Was that right?
That was great. I didn't say that, but that was better. All right. We're done.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Pickup Line.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch us.
And listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.